Hey, thank you for having me. The screen share is still on, so I don't know if you want to remove the screen share so I can kind of take the platform.
Yeah. Let me go.
There we go.
There we go.
So, goatse opa, gochanaxir chomp shotsanahan no kyosataka asa. Again, my name is Mary Silentwalker, and I'm so honored and blessed to be with you here today to share my journey, but also share some wonderful food options, healthier options for yourself or for your family. And to answer a little bit of the question of the Indigenous perspective, how can we incorporate more Indigenous foods? That's a great question. And I always strive to try to incorporate the Indigenous options in a healthier version. So for one of the presentations I'm going to show to you today is squash. So we're going to, which is an Indigenous food for us. There's a variety of different squashes. We're going to do what's called an acorn squash. So we're going to do a squash bowl as our bigger food presentation. I have some snacks, and the one thing I always start with is a drink. And here is a healthier option for a drink. So let's go ahead and get started because I have a lot to show you. And with my journey, with our journey through our family, we it's a journey, it's a process. There's ups and downs. It's been good times and bad times. And one thing we like is that we're striving to a healthier options, and we're teaching our children healthier options as well. So we use a lot of colors. We use a lot of our whole grains, a lot of what she mentioned, healthier oils, all of that wonderful stuff. And that all led into, again, my turquoise spoon. So I go live every Sunday on Facebook, and I share a meal, and I have my webpage, myturquoisespoon.com, where I have some other healthy recipe alternatives. And so it's slowly going, I'm slowly building recipes, and I'm working on a cookbook. So that's coming down the line. So things are growing. There is a need, especially in our Indigenous communities, there's definitely a need of how do we get there? I think people want to get there. It's just a matter of how do we get there? And I'm kind of showing them and inspiring them in that way. All right, so let's get going on our first drink. So I have kids, so I have to try to make things that are fun and colorful and vibrant for them. So I make a lot of agua frescas. And so I started out with water in here. We're gonna throw in strawberries. So look at these wonderful colors. So we have strawberries and we have cucumbers. And we're gonna throw that in here too. Let me make sure you can see, into our blender. And then we're going to add in some maple syrup. It's about a tablespoon of maple syrup, depending on how much sugar you want to have and how sweet you want it. It just depends how much you want to add. Maple syrup is a natural sugar, and so it's a little bit more on the expensive side, but we buy one and it's lasted us for like 2 months. So we don't use it all the time. So it can be a little bit more, but it's a good investment. So instead of using white sugar, use a maple sugar, or you could use a honey or no sugar or no sweetener at all. So that's pretty much it there. Oh, and lime juice. I have squeezed 2 limes. So I have 2 lime juice squeezed in here, and we're going to pour that in. And we're going to blend this up very quickly, and we're going to show you what it looks like. And again, this is just a Ninja blender. You can use any type of blender or a personal smoothie blender. Use the Moe Claws, blend that up real quick. Doesn't take long, and again, it has the cucumbers in there, which are great for your skin and great for water source. It has somewhat of a sweet taste to it, so it adds to the sweetness. The berries, you have the antioxidants, which is definitely always what I'm talking about. You have lime juice to give it a little bit of a kick, and then the water, you can add mint too as well. But it's a great alternative to sugary drinks, sodas, Gatorades, all of that. And it's very hydrating, it's colorful. So that's one of the first little quick drinks. I always have a drink on it. You can filter it if you like. You can pour it through a filter. I like the chunks in it. I like to keep as much of the fiber and the nutrients from the fruits and vegetables. But again, if you're not liking the consistency, you can filter it out.
Mary, we have a question. Could you use agave syrup as well?
Yes, you can use agave sweetener syrup as well. And that's a little bit more on the sweeter side. So you might want to just play with how much you want to add in. So slowly add it in just so you have the right amount of sweetness. Okay. And again, you don't have to have the sugar in it. I mean, the sweetener in it. You can leave it out. Just know that you can get more of that sweetness with how ripe your strawberries are. If you want more natural sugar from fruit, you can add a pineapple or a mango in there and get more of that sweetness in there if you're watching your sugars. But again, those have natural regular sugars in them. All right. So the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to start on the squash bowls. So I've already started, these are the squashes we're going to use. So we cut the top off and we took out the seeds. Now squash is indigenous for us, and it proved to me why this is one of our indigenous foods, because if you think back a long time ago where food was not accessible as much, and so we were farmers, we were growing a lot of our food, we had to sustain it, and squash lasts a long time. I had this squash sitting on my counter. It's been sitting on my counter for 2 months. I bought it, I forgot about it, and I'm using it today. So this is the one squash and it's perfectly fine. I cut it, it's not spoiled. And that just shows you how resilient this is. And so that's why our, ancestors relied on squash. This is the one I bought today. So they're really cute. This one has more of a star pattern. These ones are still a little bit smaller. I Instapotted them. So I Instapot them for about 5 minutes. You can bake them. You want to get them baked a little bit soft, and you could also steam them. So it just depends on your preference on how you want to get that done. So I already did this. We're going to make the mix though for this. And squash are high in fiber. They have lower your cholesterol. They help to regulate your blood sugar, and it's an anti-inflammatory as well as an antioxidant. And it contains lots of vitamin C in them. And that's what we need to have in our bodies, always, putting in those natural vitamin C's so we can combat illnesses and get our body strong. So my pot here is ready to go. It's on a medium heat. I'm going to be using a filler of Impossible meat. This is a plant-based meat. It's new to our community. It's new, so it looks like meat, but it's all plants in here. It's to imitate the meat. You don't have to use a meat filler. For us, we always do, we've really cut out a lot of meat in our diet. We probably have meat maybe once a day, and then sometimes we'll go a day without meat. So we get a lot of our protein and fiber from a lot of the fruits and vegetables and whole grains that we're eating. So if you're wanting to cut out some meat, I suggest you can try Beyond Meat, plant-based meat, and they're in the meat sections of your kitchen, your grocery store. They are in with the regular meat, so you shouldn't have a hard time finding it. I've seen them at Walmart, Smith's, Sprouts. So we're going to cook with this today. We're going to start out, so we have our olive oil, the one that we always cook with. So I throw in some olive oil, and we're going to saute our onions and garlic. So I have diced up onions and garlic here, and I'm going to put that in. If you have family, because I have family that don't like onions, you can use onion powder or garlic powder. But again, I always try, this is always a base for a lot of the foods that I cook are onions and garlic. So we're going to saute this up. You want to make sure you have it on a medium heat, because you don't want the garlic and onions to burn. You just want to kind of get them soft. So let me pull you a little closer so you can see. I'll show you once we get going with it. So we're slowly going to saute this up. and soften them. It's really just to soften them and have those flavors mixed together. Then we're going to add in our vegetables. So what we're going to add in, and again, color. Look at these colors. These are bell peppers. These are great to just cut up and eat on their own, to put in a salad, to dip in, you know, some ranch or another type of dip. So I always like adding these in. So we're going to add in some diced bell peppers. My kids love bell peppers. And the way I found out was I just put these platters out. I'll cut up carrots, cucumbers, bell peppers. We'll put some edamame, some frozen peas, and I just let them graze and see what they like. And some will like more one thing than the other. And you get an idea of what people like and what they don't like. And so start incorporating it. So that's one good idea to kind of get your family on board of grazing. All of it's in the fridge. That's what I figured out. All of these wonderful things are in the fridge, but until I put it out on the table and cut them up and prepare them, they won't eat them until I put them on the table. And then I put it out and it's all gone. It's like, okay, so we have to kind of get it out there on the table for them. So we're gonna throw these beautiful colors into our mix here. We're gonna saute this up together. And again, the goal is, and this is what I always tell a lot of my viewers, is add color. The first thing you can do is add color, and the color is coming from your natural properties. So if you are, you know, like a lot of us in Indigenous communities, like meat and potatoes, great. If you're making small strides, add a salad, like she had mentioned. Add bell peppers or saute a bunch of vegetables on the side, and you'll slowly start to really enjoy the vegetables and start wanting more of it. So this is sauteing up here. Now we're gonna add in some tomatoes. So I have some diced tomatoes. Tomatoes, I love tomatoes. Tomatoes, again, have wonderful anti-inflammatory, antioxidant properties. They are great for your skin. So if you want to have a natural reduction in your wrinkles and have that glow in your skin, you can tell I'm glowing because I love tomatoes. I eat tomatoes like every day. Throw in some tomatoes, eat more tomatoes. It helps with the elasticity of your skin. So it'll tighten up a little bit if you want to do that. They're full of vitamin K, vitamin C, and folate. And we talk about vitamin K as being important because it's important for our bone health. So if you, you know, want your older one or loved one to, you know, with our elders, we have to be careful with their bones because they become more fragile. So we can add in that into their diet so they have stronger bone density. And tomatoes is one of those items. So we're gonna toss that in there. And again, we're just eating the colors of the rainbow. And this is gonna soften up. Now I'm gonna add in corn. So this is, I cut this off of a regular cobbed corn. So it's uncooked right now. Sometimes, you know, I'm a mom of 4, work full time, commute, it's crazy. So sometimes you can use canned corn and sometimes you can use frozen corn. When I can use fresh and I have the time for fresh, I definitely incorporate fresh. So go ahead, we're gonna toss this in there. Corn is an indigenous food. I can't wait for corn to be in season and get some natural local corn in different colors and varieties to play with this fall. So for now, I'm just playing with this white corn and throwing it in there. I like corn, and so I'm gonna throw a lot of it in there because I'm gonna be eating this one later for my lunch. So we're tossing this in, and this is all sauteing together. As it's cooking together, you know, she mentioned salt. I'm gonna add some salt in. Because we're doing a lot of everything is natural, it's coming, you know, it's fresh, there's not salt in there. And so you do get a lot of salt from processed foods. And when you start to change your diet and eating, cooking, and doing more fresh fruits and vegetables, You're going to taste something processed, and you're going to be like, that has a lot of salt in it. So the salt adds flavor. I'm using sea salt, Himalayan salt. Someone asked me about Zuni salt. I'm like, oh, I gotta get some Zuni salt. Those have natural mineral properties in them. Table salt is stripped of the natural minerals that are in salt. So table salt is just a quick way to get your food to taste good with less minerals. So I like to use a lot of the harder, bigger salts when I'm cooking, because it'll break down while you're cooking. So I'm just gonna add a dash of the salt in. I'm gonna add in some pepper, just for a little bit of taste in there. And if you have green chili, chop it up and throw it in there as well. I don't have any today, but now I'm gonna throw in some black beans. Black beans have tons of fiber in them. This is for our indigenous foods. Again, I'm cooking with the three sisters today: corn, beans, squash. And those are very key important. Those are what sustains us. With black beans, they have a lot of fiber. So with the fiber in it, and it makes us fuller. So you'll get fuller faster. It helps regulate our blood sugar levels, helps to make sure you have a healthy gut. So fiber, there's a lot of positives in adding fiber into there. And that's why we were so healthy way back in the day, because we were eating all three of these plant-based plants and vegetables. So I'm gonna throw in some black beans. You can use canned beans. I use a lot of black beans as canned. When I am able to cook black beans, I do it. The taste is a little different. Obviously, fresh is always great. But sometimes just doesn't happen that way. So I use canned black beans with no salt. So you can see those wonderful colors. The aroma here is beautiful. It smells wonderful. And you can see the colors in this are already lighting up. So I'm going to turn this a little bit on high. I'm going to now go ahead and add in my plant-based meat. You can use a regular meat. You can use no meat. So again, this might be a good lentil, a Lent meal. So if you're wanting to have something for Lent on Friday that may be different than fish, you can go ahead and try this squash bowl. So I'm using plant-based meat. If you use a regular meat, again, please make sure it's a higher quality of the ground beef or ground chicken. Just a higher quality of meat does make a difference. So I'm going to use about half of it. Plant-based meat, I buy it when it's on sale. So a small package can look very expensive. It could be about $6 to $8 depending which one you're buying. So I wait till it's on sale, which could go down to about $5 a package, and I buy like 4 or 5 of them and freeze them. So those are like the ways to save money. Eating healthy, I think, people are saying, well, it's expensive to eat healthy. It kind of isn't, and it's not. It kind of evens out. And I saw asparagus on sale today for 96 cents. You could get 2 bundles of asparagus for less than $2 and saute it and feed a family with that, with other items. And then, like the maple syrup that I talked about could be about $16 for the bottle. So it kind of has this little pull and tug with what's expensive. But, eating out, we're a family of 6. For us to eat out is between $35 and $40. So, and that's kind of like on the lower end. So eating at home and cooking at home really does save money on your budget, and you're eating more healthy with it. Now, I'm cooking with this meat, with this plant-based. It doesn't take long to cook. It looks a little funky, but just try it as you go. You always want to add a lot of seasoning to it. So as you're tasting it, as you're cooking it, you want to make sure you're cooking it with your seasonings. It's not going to taste like hamburger meat. Let me just tell you that. You have to learn how to change your palate along the way. Okay. And you will learn those different things, and you'll start to crave and want fresh things over time. It takes time. It's not an overnight process. So I'm cooking this up. We're going to get this high so we can get it going. I'm going to stuff it into our acorn bowl and top it with cheese and bake it for a second. So while this is cooking, again, this is not going to take very long. So we're going to let this kind of saute for just a bit. And I'm going to show you a different type of snack item. So let's go. Do we have any questions so far? Everybody's okay? All right. So we talked about incorporating some whole grains. And one of the first things we switched out was letting go of white bread and replacing it with wheat bread. Bread is a staple on all of our Indigenous tables. It's hard not to eat chili, and each bite you're taking a bite of bread with it. So we've really tried to cut back on that, and we've replaced our bread with whole wheat bread. And that goes into also making sure that you're reading your labels, so that, you know, when you're looking at it for your bread, you're looking at 100% whole grain bread. So look at the ingredients and make sure you can read them. There should, you know, I look at stuff and I'm looking at the macaroni or boxed macaroni or Kool-Aid punch, and there's so many chemicals that we're putting into our poor little kids' bodies, into our bodies. So let's start reading our labels and just learning what we're putting in. So this is whole wheat toast. I am going to top it with a butter. You can use, we use peanut butter here. My kids haven't gotten into nut butter. We've tried it. They're not fans of it, so we don't push it. So we use peanut butter. So I'm going to top this with peanut butter. And this is when I'm very busy in the morning on the go, or really need a snack that's going to hold me over. I'll top this with some peanut butter. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to add some honey. When you're looking for honey, try to use local and raw honey. Honey is very good for allergies, especially for local honeybees. So that we have the sweetness here. So I'm just putting a little bit of honey on there. Now I'm going to add some flaxseed. So this is ground flaxseed meal. So I'm sprinkling about a good pinch on there. And then I'm going to add in some chia seeds. So the chia seeds will be sprinkled there. Now I'm going to talk about what these are. So flaxseed is high in omega fatty acids. It helps to prevent heart disease. It lowers your blood pressure, and it decreases your cholesterol. It's an anti-inflammatory, so it's a great additive to add to your smoothies, your cereals, your oatmeal. We're doing it on toast. Now, the chia seeds almost have the same property as well. They're high in fiber. So chia seeds have high in fiber. They help, so that in turn helps your digestion. It helps with weight loss. It helps you feel fuller, and it cleans out your gut. So adding these in, and it does decrease your blood pressure. So if you're having blood pressure issues, throw some flaxseed meal into your shakes. You can even just throw it in water and drink it. You can put it in your cereal oatmeal. You can add it to your blue corn mush, a pinch of flaxseed and chia seeds with some berries. So this is a great quick snack on the go. So that's one idea there. All right, so our Beyond Meat looks wonderful here. It's cooking, it smells wonderful. This is what we have it looking like so far. So we've got the color in there, the beans, the bell peppers, corn, onions, and garlic. And we're going to just get this mixed up one more time, and then we're gonna stuff it up. So we're almost done here. Okay, so I have my squash here, and we're gonna take, this is where the skill comes in. This is where the kids can help too. It's very important to incorporate the kids in the meal prep. They are more likely to try something new when they're involved than to just serve it to them and say, hey, say, hey, let me eat this, it's good for you, kind of thing. Like what we did growing up, parents say, you can't leave the table to eat all of that. So incorporating them in the meal prep is definitely key. And as a family, that's very key, especially when you're living with a multi-generational home with multi-families. That's very good to help people be involved in that process. So let me just lower the camera so we can get a little bit better view here. And we're going to go ahead and stuff this. So if it cools down, you can let the kids come over here and just have fun. They love to help you so much. And so we're just going to stuff it. And while you're stuffing it, you can tell them what's in it and tell them, you know, and if they don't try it, that's fine. You know, I always try to get my kids at least bite it, try it, and they look at it, they'll smell it, taste it, and they're just like, no, I don't like it. Okay, thank you for trying it. Maybe next time. I found out my kids don't like carrots cooked. They like them raw. And so I don't cook carrots anymore. I just put them out raw for them and they'll eat them. But if I cook them, they're like, they'll eat them in soups, but not when I like saute them. So now we have this, these beautiful acorn squashes here ready to go into the oven. And the only reason we're going to place them in the oven, I'm going to put some light cheese on here. I'm using mozzarella cheese, is just to kind of melt the cheese a bit and kind of get that cooking together. So it's not going to be in the oven for very long. Once it comes out, we'll toss it in for a second, and then I'll take any questions while this is kind of baking for a second. All right. Any questions so far?
Hi, Mary. We do have a couple of questions. The first question was, would ground turkey work with this recipe?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, definitely it will.
Yeah.
I like this recipe because it's versatile to add in chicken, ground turkey, hamburger meat. You could probably also play with some buffalo meat as well, some ground buffalo meat.
Okay, great. Thank you. There's another question. I've seen whole grain white bread at the store. Is that okay compared to whole wheat?
So what you're going to learn is, I like to say this because you can go into Sprouts or go into Whole Foods and feel like you can buy something in there and walk out and say, I'm eating healthy because I bought this at Sprouts or Whole Foods. A lot of the food in there is still bad. It's enriched, it's still processed. White is white. They have to bleach it. They have to process it in a different way. So it's just making it seem, because a lot of people love white flour. So they're trying to make it sell as a whole grain. So again, wheat is brown. White, brown rice holds its nutritional properties. Brown rice is so much better for you with the grains and the fiber and all that it has in it. White rice is stripped of all of that to make it cook faster, to make it taste better, to be more accessible for you. So just think about those things. Again, like with the salt is stripped for table salt, so you can use it quicker, add it to a lot more of your foods.
Thank you. So with kids, how often do you find yourself having to make separate meals for the adults versus the kids who don't like what you've made?
So that's one of the challenges. Is a lot of so we are a family of 6. I'll make an adult meal and it'll just be for my husband and my oldest son and myself, because we're more open, our palates are a little bit more developed, and maybe it's turmeric Thai tacos, and so we love it. But I don't create a whole separate meal. I just make something a little side for the kids. So I'll still do the lettuce wraps. I'll cut avocados for them, and we may be using rice or quinoa. I will add that to their plate, and they just kind of eat and pick what they want. I do have backup stuff. So usually I'll pre-cook some chicken cutlets and cut them into like little nuggets. So if they're like, this is not me, I'll go ahead and warm up some chicken bites or something for them to eat. Toddlers are picky anyway. I have one that just eats bread and yogurt. And, you know, sporadically I made chicken and she actually ate it the other night. And I was like, okay, here's more chicken. And I was just surprised she ate the chicken. So that's just a toddler in general. But you cut up an avocado and put it in front of her, she'll eat an avocado. So those are toddler questions, and it's going to change and grow. But the important thing is you're exposing them to these different types of fruits and vegetables and grains.
Great, thank you. Another question is, what seasonings do you recommend to have on hand?
That's a great question. Let me pull this out. It's already melted and it looks so delicious. So that's a great question that I always help a lot of my viewers and followers with is olive oil. Definitely, if you are a Costco member, I buy the big olive oils and I just refill that. I haven't bought olive oil in 3 months. Extra virgin olive oil is another one. This is, I buy the big one at Costco and I refill this one. But extra virgin olive oil has a more stronger taste to it. So it adds a different taste. I put it on salad. It's great for salad dressings. It's great to put on your avocado toast, drizzle it on some tomatoes. A more based mineral salt, so is a great one. It could be sea salt, Himalayan salt, kosher salt. I use a lot of cumin. I use a lot of oregano, thyme, rosemary. Those have great properties. Bay leaves are great seasonings to add, and they add great properties into your health and nutrition as well. And then honey. Again, this wasn't cheap. Good honey is not cheap. Good maple syrup is not cheap. So like you buy that big bag of blue corn grounded up, it's like 25, 30 bucks. But you have it and you know it's good. This is the same thing. These are the things you're putting in your body. We just bought a brand new one a few days ago. This was, I think, $16 at Walmart. If it's on sale, I always try to buy it on sale, but I needed it. It wasn't on sale, so I bought it. This will last us 2 to 3 months. You're not going to be getting another honey for a couple of months. So those are great long-term investments to have. So that's a great question.
Great. Those are all the questions for now, except for we have one last question. So what time can we all come for lunch?
Well, I will do drive-by lunches so you can get a slice of this. So let's go ahead and look at our end product here. I always get that. Just a reminder, my website is myturquoisespoon.com. You can also find me on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok under myturquoisespoon.com. And I am on YouTube as well. Now, YouTube isn't as busy, but it does have a few videos on there. So here is our end product, which looks beautiful and fabulous. So we have those wonderful colors, the cheese, just light cheese on there, the plant-based meat, and that squash. It looks fun to eat. It's very delicious. So I hope you're stopping by later. I'm in Albuquerque. Again, it's a fun little meal to put together. And that's pretty much it. All you have to serve. It has the fruits, the vegetables in there. It has the protein. So this is its own meal in itself. It's a big meal. So sometimes, I probably wouldn't be able to eat this one. I probably have to cut it in half and save it for lunch. But again, I like to show basic ingredients. Being healthy doesn't have to be exotic. These are all basic things that you can get in your grocery store, whichever grocery store you do shop in. And it's easy to put together. So that's what I kind of strive for, because if it's too exotic, you may not try it. So I do hope you try this.
Thank you so much, Mary. Thank you for that beautiful demonstration of a healthy meal we can all enjoy with our families.